All right, what is up, traders? What's up, tycoons? Coming at you guys with an update on ticker symbol NGL. Now, last time I covered this it's been at least 6 months really since I covered this stock, and the stock has really just gone up tremendously. Now, one of the original reasons that I covered this was because this was a Nancy Pelosi pick. And of course, Nancy Pelosi is at it again, picking these really huge gains and making massive profits off of her option plays and different stocks that she invests in the stock market. Now, we're not going to get into the whole controversy of politicians investing in things that maybe they have inside info on or are passing certain bills, things like that, that they know which stocks would benefit from. Okay. We're just simply doing an update on Nancy Pelosi's amazing track record. I've gotten a few requests for updates on this stock. So we're going to break down the weekly time frame, go over what it was that we originally saw and how it's followed the analysis extremely well. And then we'll give an update on a daily time frame here as well. So more of a bigger picture, okay, and then more of a smaller time frame, so you guys know what to look for, on a shorter term basis here as well. So be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and we'll go ahead and get into it. But before we do, the content provided on this channel, as always, is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. So be sure to read through the disclaimer. And if you're new to the channel, I actually started a completely free newsletter for you guys called Investment Intelligence, giving out free valuable finance content and free trade ideas as well. I try to sprinkle in 1 to 2 free trade ideas in there. Now, this is what the trade ideas will look like, highlighting the conditions on the chart, whether it's a moving average, a trend line, a chart pattern, specific levels. We really try to break down what it is and then actually show you guys the chart. And the reason being is because you can learn from this and learn at what I consider high quality setups and how you can potentially find your own high quality setups in the future. Now, you don't have to worry about me spamming your inbox every single day with tons and tons of different trade ideas on penny stocks and all these different things. All right. The focus is on quality over quantity. So whenever I do find high quality trade ideas, I'm going to share those with you guys. And if you take a look at the website, right, because it's kind of like a blog as well, you can go back and read some of the different newsletters. Many of those trade ideas have worked out very, very well. I mean, we talked about Raytheon, ticker symbol RTX, last month at the end of December. So heading into January as a really good trade idea, as a really great setup. This is what the chart looked like, and the stock has absolutely skyrocketed since then. And even people in the Discord were playing options on it, talking about how the call options went up 88%. They actually went up much, much higher than 88%. And if you want to join the Discord, it's only $1 right now using promo code JAN24. Here are some screenshots from some of the people in the Discord and the different profits that they're getting on their trades. In the Discord, rather than just getting 1 to 2 free trade ideas a week, the Discord gives you access to all of my different analysis, all of my different trade ideas. Every week, I'm posting around 20 or more different setups and different things to look at. So there's always something new to look at every single week. Even if you're someone who can't day trade all the time, as I do post day trading setups intraday, there's plenty of swing trade ideas in there and going over risk management, some good areas for stop losses and things like that. So join the Discord. It's only $1. That code is going to end at the end of January, and then it's going back to regular prices. So hopefully we see you guys in there. Now let's get into it. So in our weekly time frame chart right here, I just want to highlight a few things that you guys can start to look for yourself. Okay. Now, one is Kardashian bottoms. That is a big round bottom. Okay. We love a Kardashian bottom over here. I don't know about you guys, but I'm bullish on those. Okay. And so you can see here, throughout this long period from 2020 heading into 2023, we just had this huge Kardashian bottom forming, right? And this is a good sign. It means that it's trying to bottom. It's trying to, look for a base, right? And from there, we really skyrocketed. And you see these little yellow lines everywhere. These are Fibonacci retracements. So you use these to determine if something is going to continue a trend or potentially reverse a trend. Because remember, nothing goes in a straight line up and nothing goes in a straight line down. Rather, you get a move up, retracement, continuation of the trend, or if you move up, retrace, and you start to consolidate and break through those retracement levels, that's how you can spot a reversal. And NGL has done a really great job of retracing to the bullish retracement levels, right? Now, what I mean by that is that if you bounce off of the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement, that indicates a very strong uptrend. Now, the 50% is usually where a lot of people step in and start to look to make you know, a decision on whether or not they think a stock can continue a trend. And below there, you have the 61.8, but this one really hasn't even touched the 61.8. It stayed at the 38.2 or 50% retracement levels each time it's retraced, right? We take a look at the massive move that it had in the beginning of, 2023. And what did it do? It retraced, right? Closing here on the weekly candlestick and opening on the weekly candlestick at that 50% retracement level. At which point we continued higher, right? And the price target from there was going to be $4.75. And you can see that we eventually came up to that area, but there was an area of supply. That's what these red zones are, is they are areas of liquidity, basically, and they turn from supply to demand, from demand to supply. They just change, okay? That's how it works. Now, a demand imbalance is simply an area where there is more buyers than sellers, and a supply imbalance is simply an area where there's more sellers than buyers. And so we can see that, we had the supply zone here, and each time we come down and retest it, we'd push lower, retest it, push lower. And soon when we came up here, we knew that we were going to be struggling with it, right? So we come up to it, we pull back. We come up to it, we pull back. We come up to it, we pull back. And eventually, those sell orders that created an imbalance over here, they got filled. Unless people are constantly replenishing those sell orders, meaning that they sold at that price, and as soon as they sell at that price, they put in another order to replace that order, right? Unless that continues to happen, those orders get filled, then the order book gets thin. And if there's more buyers and there's not as much sellers anymore because all the seller orders got filled, then you push through. And that's exactly what we got. So very textbook analysis. We also were using the fans right here, which we won't get too in depth on those or make things too complicated. But you can see it was an area of resistance here, okay? And then it turned to an area of support here. We traded in this channel, closed here, went back above, boom, we're kind of chopping around. But these are going to be areas to look for potential support. Now we're trading in the most bullish zone of the fan, and we'd have to continue extreme bullishness to stay in there. So if we do get a little bit of a pullback, look for the fans to kind of act as some support on the trend lines here. But we won't dive too much into that. When we zoom in on the daily time frame, we'll go over the upcoming zones up above, price targets up above, as well as the support areas down below. But before we move further, I want to highlight the RSI right here. Okay, so we had something known as a bearish divergence. Now, this is an indicator that a stock may potentially pull back, right? And the biggest misconception that I see people trading divergences is that they think that it is a guarantee, right? There's no 100% guarantee in anything. And actually, you can use these as really good buy signals. That's right. I said a bearish divergence actually could be a really strong buy signal. And I'll show you guys how right now. So the first thing we'll do is actually break down what does bearish divergence mean, right? We'll take a look. We have a high right here, and then we have a high on the stock price, right? So, we have a high. Then what do we do? Well, we actually come here and make a high, and we start making these higher highs. And what do we do on the RSI? High, lower high. So we actually made 3 higher highs in an uptrend, but the RSI made 3 lower highs. This is bearish divergence, okay? And it means that we're losing relative strength in the stock, even though the stock is continuing to go higher. Now, what do we do? Yes, we do get a little bit of a pullback, right? But we don't crash, right? And what do? We actually come just back to prior support. We move sideways, and as soon as we break out from there, that is a sign that the stock could potentially be breaking out, right? A lot of people look at trend lines, right? They look at a trend line like this, they see it break out, they say, oh, the stock's breaking out. Same thing with the bearish divergence. It's a buy signal if you can actually break through the bearish divergence. And look at what we do. We break out, we retest it perfectly, and continue heading up higher. Very, very textbook. We have our consolidation zone here, right? And we're really just consolidating. And what do we do after we retest the trend line on the breakout? We explode through it, come back, retest old supply as new demand, right? So there was supply up here pushing price lower, 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 right? And what do? We blow through that supply, turn it into demand, reflip it to demand, right? Now let's zoom in, okay? And let's take a look at some of the more recent price action and some of the more recent signals. Well, what do we have yet again, guys? We have a breakout of a bearish divergence. Take a look how we have a high right here, okay? We have a high, and then we have a lower high right here, and we have a higher high you could call it a equal high, however you want to call it. We're seeing a divergence where the RSI is going down, but price is not going down here at these levels, okay? And what do? Look, we broke out from it here recently. We just broke out a few days ago, right? And as I mentioned before, we turned that old area of supply into demand. Old resistance becomes new support, right? So old resistance here broke out through it, came back, retested that level, and look at this, guys. Also the 38.2% Fibonacci level, right? Taking the most recent lows that it had in that consolidation period over here, which you can't necessarily see on the chart on this angle of the chart, connecting it to the most recent highs. And what do? We pull back to the 38.2. And when you bounce off of there and make new highs, that indicates a strong uptrend. Now, what is attractive about the stock right now? Well, the MACD, okay? Now, you can use the MACD for buy and sell signals, right? Again, no signals are ever going to be 100%. But let's take a look here once we crossed over, right? When you see the white line cross above the red line right here, and what do we see? Price action went up very nicely. We went from $4 to well above $5.50. Now, what did we get right here? Well, we see the white line cross below the red line. And what do? We move from around 560 all the way back down to about 497. So a pretty significant move. That's about a 10% pullback roughly. And what do we see right here? The MACD is trying to curl. So not only do we have a breakout, right? If we were to draw some type of trend line here, we have a breakout on the candlesticks. We have a breakout here on the RSI, and we have a MACD trying to curl. Now remember, the RSI is known as a leading indicator, and the MACD is known as a lagging indicator. So the MACD is going to tell you what's happened after it's already happened. Okay, and so we see it curling here after we got the leading indicator showing a breakout. And if we get another bullish day or two, most likely we're going to see the MACD cross over. Now, what does this mean for you? How can you potentially play this? Well, a few things to consider. Yes, you could look at the long positions, but remember that we're going to be entering into new overhead supply. The price target is 622 for the bullish price target after getting above the 540 price target, but we have to be mindful that there's overhead supply here. So, you can look to trade short-term opportunities and look to see if we can break through this zone, right? Come up into this zone. You're going to be cautious because this is an area of sell-side liquidity in the past, and it's possible we could see some resistance, okay? And, if we do break out, you want to see, do we hold 622, right, as support? All right, if we can do that, then that's a strong sign. Or, maybe we don't hold 622. Maybe we come back and retest the bottom of the zone, okay? Or maybe we do something like this where we break out, pull back, and then we come back and retest this trend line here from the fans. Those are going to be some signals for some re-entries, right? For some possible re-entries after a breakout and retest, right? That's a very textbook entry where you can manage risk very well. Once you see the initial breakout, then you get back in on some type of a retest. Now, let's say we're not able to come up into this overhead supply zone and we start pulling back more immediately. Well, 540 is going to be that support level. That was an old price target. You can see it was resistance, turned into support throughout this area, and then it became resistance again over here. We broke through, and so 540 is going to be your first area of interest as a potential retest. And then you have $5 to 475, this prior zone over here. So support-wise, those are going to be the major levels. Now, if you want to figure out the next Fibonacci levels, wait for it to make a new high, right? And so, it can make a new high up here. It can make a new high up here, here, wherever the stock is going to make a new high, and connect it here to these lows around the 16th. Take your fib from the lows here to wherever the new high is, and it will give you the 38.2, 50%, and 61.8% fibs. And those are going to be also potential areas that you can look for a retest and potentially buy. So the stock looks great. right? We're showing lots of strength. The RSI is almost overbought, right? The red line here is 70. That's the technical definition of overbought. Just because something's overbought doesn't mean it can't go higher. We look at when it was last overbought over here, you see it went tremendously higher, okay? But you do have to keep in mind, from a risk reward standpoint, it's usually more risky to buy something in overbought territory, especially when you're buying something overbought in overhead supply. So, you can play this short-term bullish if it stays bullish, and just, keep in mind, the risk aspects that I'm going over here. You can look to see if it's going to break out and retest some of these zones and look for a more typical textbook type of entry after a break and retest to see if the old levels it broke out from hold as new support. Or you can just be patient and, maybe this thing starts to pull back and doesn't really give a strong breakout and retest, and look to see if it'll hold the 540 or $5 to 475 zones, or use those Fibonacci retracement levels that we talked about. All right. Now, when we zoom back out to the weekly chart, guys, it looks like this stock, I mean, originally 727 it was the target, right? And this doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon. But if we take a look at the massive run up it's had, and we see how it gets these periods where it pulls back and then consolidates, run up, pulls back, and then consolidates, we may be due for a time of consolidation, and we know all of the major levels. We know all the major zones to pay attention to. And if we consolidate a little bit, that may just give us what we need to be able to, prepare for the next setup to head up to 727, 665, and 622. Ultimately, those are going to be your next three bullish price targets. Now, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more. Don't forget to check out the Discord. Remember, promo code JAN24 gets you in for just $1. This is one of the analysis from the Discord right here. DraftKings, DKNG. We talked about how every February it's been green 100% of the time. Okay, so we're bullish on DraftKings. And then we looked at the chart on the falling wedge that it had on the daily chart. Looked really, really great. Amazing setup right here. And what do you know? The stock ran up over 21% shortly after this post, or I mean, pretty much directly after this post, it ran up 21%. Now, this post was back on January 13th. So, if you guys want access to all the different analysis, all the different trade ideas, join the Discord. It's only $1. Right? JAN24, that'll get you access. You can see all of the different profits that people are making, all of the different trades people are making. Really, really great stuff in there. And for $1, I mean, it's pretty much just giving it away for free. Now, for completely free, there's the newsletter. Okay. And, like I talk about, we try to put high quality setup trades in there. Nothing is ever going to be 100% right or work out 100% of the time. But if you check out the newsletter, many of those trade ideas have worked out very, very well. And you can, count on getting about maybe 1 to 2 of those a week from me. And, for all the other plays, things like DraftKings that wasn't in the newsletter, that's where you want to be in the Discord and see the rest of the analysis. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you ever feel like getting a coaching session with me and you like the way I do technical analysis and you want to go over some day trading dynamics, how I day trade, swing trading strategies, option strategies, different things like that, you can use my Ko-Fi page. There's a link in the description for that. You can book a 30-minute or 1-hour session. You can also request specific YouTube videos on there. I'll make a video on the topic of your choice, or you can click on this buy a coffee button, basically a way to leave a tip or donation for the free valuable content I do put out.